lost my beer already. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Trump just tweeted that the Democratic debate is boring, so we're gonna spice it up a little bit. And we're gonna do this drinking game that I found online. We're gonna watch the debate, and Mr. Gold here is gonna read off the rules
Yes,
to you really quick.
So you sent me the link, right?
Yes, I did.
All right. So the 2020 Democratic
Loud. Yes, the 2020.
Democratic President blah 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 blah. I can't English. The 2020 Democratic primary debates and drinking game. Blah 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 blah. Drink whenever a Democrat candidate for president says they want to expand and improve Obamacare instead of advocating to give you the same human right to health care the rest
Louder,
of the
please.
developed world enjoys. Take a shot.
Take a shot. Okay, so it says other things like take a shot, slam a beer. We are not going to be taking shots. We're just going to be drinking beers and smoking reefer.
Yeah, the good old stuff.
Good old sets. Good old stuff, yes. Now, continue on.
Drink whenever Mayor Pete uses the phrase "all lives matter."
Mayor Pete is going to be using the phrase "all lives matter." That sounds interesting.
Yeah, and when you do it, we got shotgun a beer.
Shotgun a beer. We'll either just take a big drink. We'll figure this out. You're going to take a drink regardless.
All right. How do you shotgun a beer?
Slam the whole thing, or how it originally goes is you shove a key into the side or your thumb into the side or something, you crack it open, you suck it all down the bottom. It really just means kill the whole thing. Go on.
All right. Drink whenever Biden winks at a female moderator. Just take a sip.
Take a sip when he takes not too much now.
What is it? If he physically touches a woman, though.
If he physically touches any of the other
Candidates?
candidates,
Yeah.
take a drink. And
And if a Democratic candidate for president panders to right-wingers in Israel, take a shot.
panders to right-wingers in Israel. I wonder what that would look like. But okay, we'll keep an eye out for it. Let's
Where's Luma?
increase this a little. She's right behind you. Oh, baby.
Drink if Warren recites a love letter to capitalism.
If Warren recites a love letter to capitalism, basically praises it, I would say. Writes a love letter to capitalism. Oh, baby.
Drink if a Democratic moderator who has been on record implying that Trump works for the Russian advocates for the Trump administration using military action in any way.
I'm gonna say if they still keep tooting the old he's still a Russian agent or whatever, then I'm gonna take a drink. They're still playing that same crap. Joe Biden's scrabbled every single. Yeah, we're starting a little late, so we're gonna start it from right here. I thought it was starting at 7 o'clock, but it's actually starting at 6 o'clock. Go on.
When Bernie uses a percentage, take a sip.
Whenever Bernie uses a percentage, I'm not gonna take a sip. I'm gonna take a whole drink.
Yeah.
My bad. They're trying to censor me. Go on. That's gonna be easy.
Okay.
We're gonna get fucked up.
Is a drink?
Luma. Yeah. All right. Go on.
Is a drink as much as you can fit in one gulp, or is it like a chug?
I'm just gonna take a big drink. That's what I'm gonna say. Just take a big drink.
A big drink.
Yes.
A big gulp.
Whatever you want. Let's not get all technical here now, okay? This is asking for technical sips, drinks, chugs, shotguns. I don't know.
Well, there is a vocabulary to this game.
Oh God.
When Bernie, what is it?
See if we ever even get there.
So yeah, when Bernie uses percentage, take a sip.
Yeah, we got
Unless it is while answering a moderator, trying to twist his words or implicating him as a extremist or communist, then take a then chug it.
Do what? If he does what?
What is it? So take a sip if he uses percentage.
Uh-huh.
But unless it is while answering a moderator, trying to twist his words or implicating him as an extremist or communist, then do more. So
Then do more.
basically,
Okay.
it's a sip
If he just does a percentage, but if a moderator tries to say he's a communist in some way, then drink
Yeah.
more.
an extremist or communist.
An
then-
extremist or communist.
So,
Okay.
so for us, it'll be a sip of the beer for the percentage, or like a gulp, okay?
Okay.
But then if they twist his words, then we chug it.
Oh, okay. What else?
That is it. When a moderator makes a point that directly benefits their network's parent company or major sponsors, take a gulp or take a sip.
Gulp. So if they say something promoting themselves, basically, maybe scoot over a little bit. You're like not even in the shot.
Well, I'm trying to read this and
Oh,
not
okay.
have my phone down on me. When a moderator or candidate implies that everything was just fine under Obama, the first person to yell drink while pointing at a friend is making that friend take a sip.
Okay. Some people might already know. Anything else?
If Beto climbs on top of his podium, everybody drinks and yells, "If you can't stand for something, stand on something."
I don't think that's gonna happen. But we'll see. Beto jump on his podium.
First person to yell at the screen out of frustration over the privilege of a debate moderator and their ignorance to everyday American life can make everyone else drink at any single point of the evening. Do you want to read?
No, you just can't really hear you. I can't really hear you.
When a candidate inevitably says that there's nothing wrong with anyone being a billionaire without any moderator questioning if anyone could become a billionaire without exploiting other citizens, everybody drinks and sighs.
I'll keep an eye out for something like that.
If any other candidate, if any other candidate or moderator calls Kamala a cop, everyone should drink after clinking glasses and saying cheers.
If another candidate calls Kamala a cop?
Yeah.
Huh, okay.
If any of the pro-fracking candidates from Colorado lie and say that they care about the environment, everybody should take a shot and express their disgust.
Yeah, okay, that's probably going to happen a lot.
If Booker takes two opposing positions while answering the same question, everybody take a sip, mimicking the Kermit the Frog sipping tea meme.
If what?
What is it? If Booker takes two opposing positions while answering the same question.
If Booker gives two
opposing positions.
Gives two opposing positions
while answering the same
while
question.
answering the same question. That could happen a lot. They should keep that a little more broad with everybody. How much more? How many more is there? I don't want
A couple more.
Just two more. Okay, two more.
If Williamson
If Williamson
brings up healing crystals in any capacity,
healing crystals.
Everyone should drink while reciting OHM 3 times. Oh, Om. Well, Tulsi?
Yeah, Toulouse, or the Hawaiian chick.
Well, when she says aloha, everyone should shout out mahalo and have a sip.
Mahalo. Alright, is that it?
When a candidate or moderator uses the phrase illegal immigration, everyone should raise their glass and shout, "No human is illegal."
Okay.
When a candidate or moderator refers to ICE camp as anything but, everyone should drink and shout concentration camps.
When shout concentration camps when they do what?
I think this is the fucking liberal version of the game. When a candidate or moderator uses the phrase illegal immigration, everyone should raise their glass and shout, "No human is illegal." When a candidate or moderator refers to
I think it might be.
as any when a candidate or a moderator refers to an ICE camp as anything but, everyone should drink and shout concentration camps.
Concentration.
A commercial airs for a company involved in weapons manufacturing,
Let's not.
prescription drug insurance of any kind, or large banking institution, everyone should drink and hang.
Dude, sounds like you're just muttering to yourself.
Because none of this makes sense.
Yeah, okay, then I'll cut it short there. That's enough. I think that's plenty of stuff. Those first, what, how many? First 6, 7?
I don't know.
I put you in charge of this.
You told me to read it, not to count them.
I'm elected to lead, not to read. Here we go. let's get this underway, anyways. Trump said it's boring. Let's change that. God damn.
Because we cannot sacrifice our values, our ideals as a nation for border security. We can have both by doing this the right way.
All right, Senator, thank you. Let me go to Governor Inslee on this. What would you do on day
Elizabeth
one?
Warren
Same
is
question I
leading,
just
apparently.
asked Cory Booker. I have yet to hear an answer. So anyone on this stage, what will you do with the families that will be here?
There is no reason for the detention and separation of these children. They should be released pending their hearings, and they should have a hearing and the law should be followed. That's what should happen. And we should do what we're doing in Washington State. I'm proud that we've passed a law that prevents local law enforcement from being turned into mini ICE agents. I'm proud to have been the first governor to stand up against Donald Trump's heinous Muslim ban. I'm proud to be a person who's not only talked about Dreamers, but being one of the first to make sure that they get a college education so that they can realize their dreams. These are some of the most inspirational people in our state. And I'll leave you with this thought if you want to know what I think. Donald Trump the other day tried to threaten me. He thought it was a threat to tell me that he would send refugees in Washington State if we passed the law that I passed. And I told him that's not a threat at all. We welcome refugees into our state. We recognize diversity as a strength. This is how we built America. That tradition is going to continue if I'm president of the United States.
Same old song.
We're going to switch to another topic.
Same old
now. We've got a
boring
lot to
song.
get through. Let's talk.
My
We need to talk
grandfather
about.
was actually separated from his family when he
We're
came to this country.
going to talk about Iran right now because we're working against the clock. Tankers have been attacked. A U.S. drone has been shot down. There have been disturbing threats issued by both the U.S. and Iranian leadership. I'd like, if you can, just for a moment, to put aside how you think we may have gotten here. But what I want to know is how do you dial it back? So a show of hands, who as president would sign on to the 2015 nuclear deal as it was originally
Can't believe Trump is
negotiated?
watching this.
That's it. Well, Senator Booker, why not?
May I address that? First and foremost, it was a mistake to pull out of that deal. And one of the reasons why we're seeing this hostility now is because Donald Trump is marching us to a far more
He
dangerous
has a lazy
situation.
eye.
I was about to say,
Literally,
what
he
is
took
he
us out of
looking
the
at?
deal
Yeah,
and
what's he looking at?
transparency into their nuclear program.
Looks like
and
he's
pushed
having a
back
fucking
nuclear breakout 10, 20
PTSD.
years. And now we see Iran threatening to go further, and we're being pulled in further and further into this crisis. We need to renegotiate and get back into a deal, but I'm not going to have a
come over
primary
here.
platform to say unilaterally I'm going to rejoin that deal, because when I'm president of the United States, I'm going to do the best I can to secure
Beto.
this
Beto, stay at
country
your
and
desk.
that region,
Stay at your
and
podium.
make sure that if I have an opportunity to leverage a better deal, I'm going to do it.
All right, Senator Klobuchar, I'd like you to answer that question because you said you would negotiate yourself back into the Iranian agreement. Can you argue that that nuclear pact, as it was ratified, was a good deal?
Yes, it was.
It was imperfect, but it was a good deal for that moment. I would have worked to get longer sunset periods, and that's something we could negotiate to get back in the deal. But the point is, Donald Trump told us when he got out of it that he was going to give us a better deal. Those were his words. And now we are a month away from the Iranians who claim now that they're going to blow the caps on enriching uranium. And the Iranians have told us this. And so that's where we
Might
are
need to
right
make
now.
some
He
of
has
our own
made us
rules.
less safe than we were when he became
stop
president. So what I would
making
do
rules and
is
start
negotiate us back
laying
into
the
that
law.
agreement, is stand with our allies, and not give unlimited leverage to China and Russia, which is what he has done. And then,
Is she
finally,
crying?
I would
She's
make
crying.
sure that if there is any possibility of a conflict,
she's
and we're having
crying.
this debate in Congress
left
right now,
eyelid
that
is
he comes to Congress
falling
for
down.
an authorization of military force.
Something's
I would
happening
do
here.
that. And this president is
an
literally
alien.
every single
an
day,
reptile.
10 minutes away from going to war, one tweet away from going to war, and I don't think we should conduct foreign policy
time is up.
I'm gonna
in
add
a
one.
bathrobe at 5 in the morning.
Whenever they mention Trump tweeting, you take a drink too. I'm gonna drink with that.
How about
You said you
whenever
would-
they
you
say
would sign
Trump's
back on the
name, we
2015
take a
deal. Would
sip.
you-
Every
would
time
you
they say
insist,
Trump,
though,
every time they
that
mention
it
Trump,
address
we take a
Iran's
take a
support
sip.
for Hezbollah?
Let's deal with the situation where
It's
we
kinda
are,
hot.
where this president and his chicken hawk
Well,
cabinet
that-
have
for
led us to
president
the brink
before.
of war with Iran. I served in the war in Iraq at the height of the war in 2005, a war that took over 4,000 of my brothers and sisters in uniforms lives. The American
like she's
people need to
reading from a podium
understand
or
that this
something.
war with
She's
Iran would
reading
be
something.
far more devastating, far more costly than anything that we ever saw in
She's
Iraq.
looking
It would take
yeah,
many
weird.
more lives. It would exacerbate the refugee crisis, and it wouldn't be just contained within Iran. This would turn into a regional war. This is why it's so important that every one of us, every single American, stand up and say, no war with Iran. We need to get back into the Iran nuclear agreement, and we need
I
to
think we should also make
negotiate
all
how
those
we
rules
can
that we just
improve
read
it. It wasn't
general
an
for
perfect
everybody,
deal.
no specific.
There are issues
That's just too
like their
confusing.
missile
I don't
development
even
that
know
needs
who
to be
half these-
addressed.
most of
We
these
can
people
do
are.
both
No idea.
simultaneously to
Yeah.
prevent
I know-
Iran from
I guess that's
developing a
still
nuclear weapon and preventing us from going
Time is
to war.
up. There's a very quick follow-up. Well, what would your red line be for military action against Iran?
Look, obviously, if there was an attack against the our troops, then there would have to be a response. But my point is, and it's important for us to recognize this, is Donald Trump and his cabinet, Mike Pompeo, John Bolton, and others, are creating a situation that just a spark would light off a war with Iran, which is
Well, drink also
incredibly
whenever they
dangerous.
deflect
That's
from
why
a
we
question.
need to de-escalate
That's
tensions.
gonna happen.
Trump needs to get back
I'm
into the
surprised that
Iran
wasn't
nuclear
listed.
deal and swallow
Or
his
one
pride.
person.
Put
I
the
think only one
American
person.
people
No,
first.
anybody deflects from a question, we take a drink.
We're up against a hard break, but we will have much more. Mayor de Blasio will
How about
have more. The
interrupting?
commercial is coming. We will continue
Every time
our
someone
questioning answers.
interrupts,
Chuck Todd, Rachel Maddow, stick around. We'll have a
drink,
lot
we
more
take a
with
sip.
some very anxious candidates just ahead.
Look, there'll be commercials and maybe we can catch up a little bit. Let's see.
All
Fucking live, but I had it paused.
2020
It's not gonna give
election.
me anything?
Continue to follow the latest on the candidates.
It's not- it says it's live, but it's not
NBC
live
Mobile
right
app.
now.
Stay connected.
We have to sit through
Breaking
commercials.
news.
I don't believe this. Fuck it.
You can skip it though.
We're just gonna skip way.
so
Top stories,
Oh,
live
lame.
video, and all your favorite NBC News shows.
All right,
Text NBC News to 66866 to get the app now.
We'll return in 3.
All right, well, on Election Day 2020,
kidding me?
Donald Trump will be something he was not on Election
Well, let's
Day
get high.
2016. That is President Donald Trump, an incumbent running for re-election. In some ways, a re-election campaign for president, of course, becomes a referendum on how folks feel the president did during his 4 years in office. So what can we say about how voters have been reacting so far to the Trump presidency? Well, what you see here, this is his average approval rating, meaning you've always got these different polls out there. One day NBC will have one, the next day CNN will have one. They're always coming in from all over the place. This trend line is an average, a day-to-day average of all of those polls put together. And what you see here in this trend line, it's a very narrow
lighter over there.
range that Trump is operating. And what I mean by that is, look at this. This is his high watermark, his peak as president. His average approval
High
rating
watermark.
at
You guys
its
remember that
best,
from the 2016, the high
46%.
watermark?
When was
Or
this? Early
oh, he's
February
reached his.
2017.
He's
That was
tapped
under
out. I
him.
must have heard
He
that
had
like
just become
every
president.
week. He tapped
That
out
makes
that he
him
wasn't going
different
to get any
right there
higher. It wasn't going to
from
go any
every
further.
modern predecessor he
He's
had,
tapped
because
out.
all
He's
of
tapped
them
out.
have gotten
He's reached
to
that high
60,
watermark.
65, 70%
Yeah,
at
bullshit.
least for a short period. They all had honeymoons. Trump's honeymoon, he couldn't even crack 50%. So already we see a lower ceiling for Trump than we've seen with past presidents. But that comes with a flip side, and that is the basement for Trump. Look at this, 37% is the low point he's hit in his average approval rating as president. That is actually not as low
Fucking
as some of his predecessors have gone. We've seen Nixon, Bush Sr., Carter, we saw them fall into the 20s at some point during their term. That has not happened to Trump either. 37 on the low end, 46 on the high end, right now, somewhere in between. It's a very narrow range. It speaks to polarization. I'll tell you, it speaks to something else. Is this presidency?
So who are you voting for?
really different politically
What do you like
in
so
terms of
far?
how it's being received
Tell me.
in the campaign
Well,
in 2016. Because compare this trend line,
so
46,
far,
37,
I'm
low,
liking
high.
what I'm
Compare
hearing,
that to
but
Trump's
I'm
support
not
against
changing
Hillary
my
Clinton
vote
in the polls.
yet.
In the
Not
polls,
yet. They
2016,
haven't
Trump
persuaded
average
you just
support
yet. Is there
at
a
a low
controller?
point,
Is there a remote next to you?
36%. At a high point,
Maybe
about
they will, maybe they won't.
43.5%.
Who
Was on
knows?
election day, what was the number he hit?
My guess is all this is I mean,
Same high
the way
watermark
I
he's
see this,
had
this is just a
in his
big
approval
circle
rating.
jerk.
So
You know,
Trump
they're
is
patting each other on the back, and they're not really going to ask each other any really, you know, real questions, except maybe the people that they want to get rid of, people they want to knock off, because it's chosen. It's already chosen. Except for Trump, he wasn't chosen. We chose him.
Only 38%
And we're gonna
said they
choose him
thought he
again.
was qualified for the job. The clear majority said Trump wasn't qualified. Did he have the temperament?
Wait,
35%
I remember when we were
temperament.
tripping at
The
that bar,
elected, you have a
Trump
favorite
like
view,
pointed at people in the crowd and like, see that guy, this is gonna be our next president.
Trump was one of the
He pointed at me.
his opponent, Hillary Clinton,
That guy,
by
that guy,
election
that guy.
And that girl said next to it, it's gonna be the next first lady.
favorable. It created that narrow path for
Damn,
Trump.
he's
That
just
becomes the
fucking
question.
telling us
Look at
the
that approval
future.
right now.
Right.
2020. Can he make
I guess
his
I shouldn't
opponent
have.
an
If I hadn't paused it, we wouldn't even be able to be here right now. Are we there yet? 16, 15 seconds. Take a hit, hurry. We're back on. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Whatever. Oh, I can't bring that closer. And we're back to the most boring debate in American history. They're so glorious. They're so wonderful. They're gonna save our country. They're thinking about the little guy.
More members of our team in the mix.
So right now, let's turn it over to Chuck Todd and Rachel Maddow. Take it away.
Take it away. Look at the wonderful music. Like they're such wonderful people.
Following the rules, 20 candidates qualified for this first Democratic debate. We're going to hear from 10 tonight, 10 more
I
tomorrow.
thought she lost all her
The
credibility
original
after the
was
Russian
selected at
hoax.
random. Now the candidates will have 60 seconds
She was
to
like the
answer,
one who was supposed to be
30 seconds
following
for a
all that, and it was
follow-up
all
if
crap.
necessary, and we will be ruthless if necessary.
Yeah, we can do that. By the way, hi, Rachel. Hi, Chuck. How you doing? Good. And we've got a lot of ground to cover. We're going to be talking about guns and climate here up top. A whole lot more in this hour. Obviously, because of the size of the field, not every person will be able to weigh in on everything, but
I want to see the whole field. Like, has it really shown a whole like what all those people look like? I think it said something like 20. How many people? How many people did it say was running on their side?
50 miles.
20 something. Look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's only 10 people there.
And where there has been
I know there's more than 10
significant
people
activism on gun
running.
violence ever since.
Well, these are the
Many of you are
top
calling
10
for
right now.
restoration of an assault weapons ban. But even if implemented, there will still be hundreds of millions of guns in this country.
I'm
Should
sure
there be
this
a
ought to
way
be
for
good.
the federal government. Everybody's mics are on. I
Go,
think we had
Pocahontas, shoot.
I heard that too. That's okay. I think we had a little mic issue in the back.
Control room, we've got
We have
contrary
the. I think we
audio.
heard. Yeah, we have the audience audio. All
Are they having issues?
So the question is simply this: we're from. I apologize, you guys didn't get to hear this. The first part of the question. Obviously, we're not far from Parkland, Florida.
Still more issues.
Gun activism has become a big part of high school life up there in Broward County. Many of you are calling for tighter gun restrictions. Some of you are calling for the restoration of the assault weapons ban. But even if it's put in place, there's still going to be perhaps hundreds of millions of guns still on the streets. Is there a role
Who's
for the
talking?
federal
There's someone
government
talking?
in order
What is it,
to play
echo?
in order to get these guns off the streets?
There's people talking.
we are,
What's happening?
we are
Yeah.
hearing our colleagues' audio.
What the hell is going on?
Oh, the Russians.
It's the Russians.
If the control room can turn off the mics of our previous moderators, we will.
You know, we prepared for everything.
Guess what, guys?
We did not prepare for this.
We are going to take a quick break. We're going to get this technical situation fixed. We will be right back.
Quite disappointing so far, but not without excitement. I'm just waiting to see another light burst like at Hillary's DNC.
What a waste of a commercial break.
Follow the latest on the candidates with the NBC.
So it comes
News
back.
mobile
So,
app.
okay, so they come
Stay
back
connected.
just for that.
Breaking news,
Nothing
top
but
stories,
issues, and then they're gonna
live
throw us on
video,
another
and
4-minute
your
break.
favorite
Okay.
NBC News shows.
Okay.
Text
I believe you. Jump in the line.
866 to get the app.
Remember the Congo line at that bar that night?
Way to stall.
I know.
Maybe because they know they're gonna lose against Trump. They just kind of back shortly.
2020, the place
You
to
hit
start
that
out
bong?
obviously is where the last election ended, 2016. And remember, of course, by the popular
You know what,
vote,
this guy
Hillary
counts
Clinton
too, whatever he
has
says.
3 million more
Oh, yeah.
votes than Donald Trump. But we don't elect the president by national popular vote. We do it by the Electoral College. And there, Donald Trump had the right combination of votes in the right states, enough to win
Right
306
states and at the
electoral
right
votes
time.
for him. So how does that math looking for 2020? Well, first of all, I think one thing you need to do, just understand how
He said
narrow
Trump.
that Trump path was.
He
in
said
the
Trump again.
Electoral College in 2016.
So it's
You
two
can
votes.
start by looking at Wisconsin. Look at that margin there. Fewer than 25,000 votes separated Clinton from Trump in Wisconsin. This was a state that had not gone for a Republican in a presidential
I can't believe
election
Hillary got
since
anything in Wisconsin.
1984 by a margin of fewer than
Nah,
25,000 votes.
I don't really know.
Trump becomes the first
I never used to pay attention to politics like this before. Not in the slightest.
10,000 votes. Trump over Clinton, and again.
I mean, I kind of did. I tried to get into politics, but then I think I probably said this before.
About 44,000 votes. That's the margin for
I lost once I got into politics. It looked really hopeless, and it just made me more depressed. But Trump really sparked my interest into politics again.
He woke you.
He woke me. I was black-pilled. I was
And you got white-pilled.
Yes. Now I'm white-pilled, whatever that is.
Uh-oh, it means he's a white supremacist.
White supremacist. That's right.
States that had been voting Democratic before
Kill the blues!
flip them back and win the Electoral College if everything else stays the same. So that's the most direct path for Democrats,
jokes
at
in
least
one.
on paper. Things could change over the course of a few years. There are other states to be keeping an eye on as well. I'll give you an example. Perfect one right here. Florida. We always talk about Florida, right? Remember Florida.
Florida.
Again,
Remember how Johnson just has 2.2? Like, what does he even do with that 2.2?
about Florida, but Trump
You can get a
won
McDouble.
Florida in 2016. 29 electoral votes right there. We obviously expect to be very competitive in 2020. Democrats can
Tasty
flip Florida.
99-cent
Given the size
chicken
of the state, that is
plus
a
tax in
massive
California
change.
comes about
One cautionary note
$2.20.
for Democrats, though, they had a big year in the 2018 midterms.
When is the
Not
third?
big
Has the
enough
third
to
party
carry over
ever
to Florida. In Florida,
won
in the
anything?
2018
They
midterms,
almost won. The third party almost won when Obama ran for a second term. That was the closest I'd ever seen the Green Party become. And a lot of people wanted Trump to run as a Green Party. Huh? Would I?
Yeah.
I'd give it a shot, but I don't know. That doesn't mean anything would come of it.
Arizona. This is one Democrats have been talking about
Keg
now.
party.
A long
A keg party. The Green Party's the keg party. Yeah, maybe I'll give it a try.
This is a state Democrats did do well in the 2018 midterms, winning a Senate race there. Clinton got within 3 points. Democrats
Clinton.
hope that there's some momentum there. So
Ew.
Democrats
Ew.
have political momentum. They could flip Arizona. That could change things too.
I told my dad, I say, see that she's got that hole in her tongue? It's because she's been sucking dick. Some nasty dick.
What's
She got her
that?
mouth infected, and my dad said, Reform Party candidate.
Go on about this dick sucking.
My dad said, she's a lesbian. And I said, well, she's got someone's genitals in her mouth. I don't know. Trump just tweeted NBC News and... Oh, I missed it. Oh, well, whatever. We're back on. Somehow she got that. She wasn't sucking on a fence post with a turtle upside down on it. That's for sure.
North of here in Broward County, as you know, it has created a lot of teenage activism on the gun issue. It has inspired a
Evolution
lot
has
of
created
you
a
to
lot
come
of
out with
teenage
more robust
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
plans to deal with guns, including assault weapons ban. But even if you're able to implement that, what do you do about the hundreds of
So
millions
everyone
of
who
guns
answers
already
against gun
out there?
control, we take a drink or a
And
shot.
does the federal government have to play a role?
Every candidate who answers 100% against guns.
So,
You
in
take a
this
drink.
period of time that I've
I
been
need
running
another
for
beer.
president, I've had more than 100 town halls. I've taken more than 2,000 unfiltered questions.
Let's lower this a
And
little.
the single hardest question I've gotten, I got one from a little boy and I got one from a little girl.
Oh, I'm sure you
And
did.
that's to say, when you're president, how are you going to keep us safe?
Oh, bullshit.
That's our
Foraged.
responsibility as adults. 7 children will die today from gun violence, children and teenagers. And they won't just die in mass shootings. They'll die on sidewalks, they'll die in playgrounds, they'll die in
cafes.
backyards. Gun violence is a national health emergency in this
Health
country.
emergency, yeah.
And we need to treat it like that.
I'm pretty sure that's
We
against.
can do the things
It's
that are
so-
sensible.
yeah, oh
We can
yeah,
do
sounds like
universal
it.
background checks. We can ban weapons of war.
Is it every
But we
time
can also
they say
double
they're
down on
against
the
it, or
research
just for the
and find
just for their
out what
opinion?
really works. where it is that we can make the differences at the
Every time they
margins
say they're
that
against
will
it,
keep our
fuck it.
children
We should
safe.
finish
We
this
need
beer
to
by
take
now.
out the
Thank you, Senator
virus
Warren.
that's killing our children.
You didn't address, do you think the federal government needs to go and figure out a way to get the guns that are already out there?
What I think we need to do is we need to treat it like a serious research problem, which we have not done.
Go ahead.
Serious
Guns in the
research
hands of
problem. No,
a
we haven't
who's
done.
had them for decades, who's never fired them, who takes safety seriously. That's very different from guns that are sold and turned over quickly. We can't treat this as an across-the-board problem. We have to treat it like a public health emergency. That means bring data to bear, and it means make real change
Yeah,
in this
more
country,
alcohol
whether
to
it's
that.
politically popular or not.
Senator Booker, you have a program.
Fight for our children.
No, you have no program now.
You have a federal government
Search and
buyback
seize.
program.
That's the program.
In your plan, how is that going to work?
Well, first of all, I want to say my colleague and I both have been hearing this on the campaign trail. But what's even worse is I hear gunshots in my neighborhood. I think I'm the only one, I hope I'm the only one on this panel here that had 7 people shot
I don't
in
think
their
so.
neighborhood
I
just
seriously,
last
seriously,
week.
highly
Someone
doubt that
in
he's hearing
Johnson was
gunshots in
killed
his
with an assault
neighborhood.
rifle
I
at the
really don't
top
think
of my
so.
block last year. For millions of Americans, this is not a policy issue. This is an urgency. And for those that have not been directly affected, they're tired of living in a country where their kids go to school to learn about reading, writing, and arithmetic, and how to deal with an active shooter in their school. This is something that I'm tired of, and I'm tired of hearing people, all they have to offer is thoughts and prayers. In my faith,
Thoughts and prayers.
say faith without works is dead. So we will find a
What if
way.
I
But
put
the
the- what if
reason
I
we
put-
have a problem right now
Oh, there's
is
nobody
we
here
let
right now.
The corporate gun lobby
Like, what if I
frame
put
this debate. It is
that
time
in
we
front
have
of us, but you
action
couldn't
for
see
the
us,
whole
but we can
agenda.
see,
I will
they
get
can see
that
the
done
debate,
as President of the United States,
but they
because
can't
this
see
is not
us,
about
but we can see their
policy. This
comments
is
that they're
personal.
making about the debate.
Whoa.
That might be interesting.
As long as use the other camera.
Senator Booker just mentioned there, the idea
The other
of
side.
Yeah, I thought about live streaming it
girls
on the
in
laptop,
schools.
like live streaming it
School
like
shootings
maybe on
seem
Facebook and
like
then putting this
an
one right
almost
here.
every day or every week occurrence now. They don't make a complete news cycle anymore,
Let's
no
do
matter
that.
the death toll. As parents
I'm
are
gonna
so
keep this
afraid
going,
that
but
their
I'm gonna
kids
set
go
up
to
another
school,
live
that their
stream.
kids will be caught up in something like
Let
this.
me know how this
And
goes,
that's
please. I want to know everyone's feedback, and if everyone enjoys this, then maybe I'll do it again in the future.
Is this a problem that is going to continue?
So
to
far,
get
there's nobody
worse
here enjoying it.
over
There
our
was earlier,
lifetimes,
but
or is
yeah.
there something that you would do as president that you really think would turn it around?
Yeah, Rachel,
I hate Trump,
of a
so
10-year-old girl,
yeah.
Karina, who's
You know,
here tonight.
Rachel, I hate Trump.
And the worst thing is
Trump.
knowing that your child might be worried about what could happen at school, a place that's
That's
supposed
bullshit.
to be safe.
I never
The
worried.
answer to your
I never
question is
worried.
no, we don't have to accept that. And I believe that on January 20th, 2021, at 12:01 p.m., we're going to have a Democratic president, a Democratic House. and
Sounds
a
like you
Democratic
believe a lot of
Senate.
nonsense, sir. This guy believes in unicorns and pixie dust too. Actually,
Activists in
pixie dust is
Parkland,
real.
Folks from Moms Demand who have risen up across the United States and inspired so many people. You know, we may not have seen yet legislative action, but look, we're getting closer. The House took a vote.
I think this guy's
In the
half
Senate,
Asian.
the
Looks like he's
question
half
often
Chinese or
is,
something.
if
Please
the
don't
decision
get
is
into your
between
phone right now.
60 votes, a filibuster, or passing common sense gun reform, I'm going to choose common sense gun reform. So I believe that we're going to be able to get that done in 2021.
Secretary Castro, thank you.
Rachel, I have something.
In the debates,
I support all the gun
and you're bored,
reforms here.
crack
We
a
need
cold
to
one,
start
light a fat
dealing
one,
with the
and
trauma that our kids
turn off the
have.
TV and
We need
watch my live stream.
trauma-based care in every school. We need social and emotional learning in
Little
every
hot in here.
school. 90% of the shooters who do school shootings
Yeah, put that
come
away
from
and
the
try to be a
school
part of
they're
this,
in,
huh?
and 73% of
Or I'm
them
gonna
feel
fire you.
shamed, traumatized, or bullied. We need to make sure that these kids feel connected to the school. That means a mental health counselor in every single school in the United States. We need to start playing offense. If our kids are so traumatized that they're getting a gun and going into our schools, we're doing something wrong too, and we need reform around trauma-based care.
Congressman O'Rourke, you're a Texan who's campaigned all over the state in 2018 in the most conservative parts there. What do you tell a gun owner who may agree with you on everything else, okay, but says, you know what, the Democrats, if I vote for them in there, they're going to take my gun away, and even though I agree with you on all these other issues, how do you have that conversation?
Here's how we had that conversation in Texas. I shared with them what I learned from those students who survived the Santa Fe High School shooting. A young student named Bree her friend Marcel, who survived another shooting, the mother of a victim who lost her life, Rhonda Hardy. They talked about universal background checks where you close every loophole. We know that they save lives.
Loopholes.
Talked about ending
There are
the
loopholes
sales
right now.
of assault weapons into our
The guns
communities.
ban
Those
right now.
weapons
The
of war
bullet.
were
We have to go
designed
do.
as effectively
No,
and
no,
as
no.
efficiently as possible. They should belong
The
on
bullet ban they're doing
battlefields,
here in
not
California.
communities.
You think there's no loopholes there? You think no one under 21 has ever gave somebody money to buy them alcohol? If you can't pass your background check to get bullets, you're just gonna give someone money to buy the bullets for you.
Agreed.
That
But
easy.
this effort must be led by the young people that you referenced at the beginning of this issue. Those students from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas.
They're talking about
led the charge
loopholes.
here in Florida, and they've been able to change those laws. They're making our democracy work, ensuring that our values and our interests and our priorities
Yeah, obviously
are
he's against
reflected in the
guns.
laws that we pass.
Take that away.
Thank you, Congressman O'Rourke. Hang on. Let me give 30 seconds. Senator Klobuchar, the Iron Range, I'm curious. Gun confiscation, right? If the government is buying back, how do you not have that conversation?
Well, that's not confiscation.
Oh,
but give
I can't
them
do a
all
live
the
stream right now. My
right.
internet's
But I'll
down.
say this, I
I'm
look
running
at
off
these
of
proposals and
cell
I
phone
say,
internet. That was a fun idea, but
turn my Uncle
oh well.
Dickens deer
What happened?
stand, coming from
I don't have
a
internet
hunting efficiency.
right now.
I got
These
internet.
proposals don't do that. When I was a prosecutor, I supported the assault
I
weapon
am
ban.
internet.
When I was in the Senate, I saw those moms
I'm
from
on
San
set
Diego
that up.
come and try to advocate for change. And we know
Hey, you know, if you want to be useful, then go ahead and do that.
now these
Personal
Parkland kids
hotspot,
from Florida,
password
they
Alex
started
Gold.
a
Go ahead and do
really
that.
national shift.
I'm gonna
You know
watch
why?
this.
It's just like
Actually,
with gay marriage.
we're doing
When
this
kids
right
talk
now.
to their
Take care of
parents
this
and their
during the
grandparents,
break.
they say,
Oh,
"I
you already are
understand
live.
why we
Wait.
Yeah,
can't
we're
put
live. We've been live this whole time. What have you been doing there?
And if
I'm
we
glad
get
you said
back to a
something.
bunch of 17-year-olds, it's the
supposed to
best
put your
thing
phone
that
away.
ever happened.
Senator Booker, let me go to you on another matter, actually. Senator Mitch McConnell says that his most consequential achievement as Senate Majority Leader was preventing President Obama from filling a Supreme Court
beard.
seat. Having served with Republicans on the Judiciary Committee, do you believe they would confirm your court nominees?
I'm going to use 20 of my seconds just to say there's one thing we don't all agree with when it comes to guns, and I think it's common sense, and over 70% of Americans agree with me. If you need a license to drive a car, you should need a license to buy.
Well, I'm
and own
sorry,
a
it's not in the
firearm.
Constitution.
Not
Too
everybody in
bad.
this field agrees with that, but in
Doesn't
states
say
like
you don't have a
Connecticut,
right
they saw
to drive a
40%
car.
drops in gun violence and 15% drops in suicides. We need to start having bold
fucking country was this guy
agendas
born
on guns.
in?
When it comes to the Supreme Court, very clearly, I agree with my friend, Secretary Castro. We are going to get to 50 votes in the Senate. This is a team sport. Whoever is our nominee needs to campaign in places like South Carolina because we can elect Jamie Harrison. They need to campaign in places like Iowa because we can win a Senate seat there.
What that guy
This
would
is
do,
about
to have a
getting us
lazy
back
eye.
down to
What
50
you
votes
see?
in the Senate
Do you see
and
things
more,
straight, or do you
so that
see
we
double?
can not only balance the Supreme Court,
Maybe he has like
but
bird
start to
vision.
pass an
Bird
aggressive
vision?
agenda
Thinking like-
that frankly
he has like
is
He has
chameleon.
more. He
most
has
of
like more
America
standing.
agrees
You
with the
can see like
policy
he has more
objectives of our
peripherals.
party.
I have a panoramic view.
He has like his eyes are like on his temple.
Congressman Delaney, I'll give you some time in a moment. Mayor de Blasio, as an executive in the largest city in this country, you are
What if
used
someone
to
had eyes on the
saying
side
what
of
you
their
want to
head,
have
just
happen
like-
and having it happen.
Say,
If
obviously
you
you're a
nominate
vegetarian.
Supreme Court nominee
Oh.
as President of the
That makes
United
no
States, and Mitch
sense at all.
McConnell is still Senate Majority Leader, what makes you believe
don't get
that
it.
he would allow you to make a nominee?
Rachel, I am chief executive of the nation's largest city, and I also want to just say
What's the
something quick
question?
on the gun issue and come to your question. Look, I run the largest police force in America, too, and if we're going to stop these shootings, we're going to get these guns off the street, we
York,
have to have a
okay.
very different relationship between our police and our community. I also
Yeah,
want to
he's
say
the
that
mayor
something
and he's
sets
running
me
for
apart
president.
from all
So that's
my
what he looks
colleagues
like,
running
huh?
in this race. And that is for the last 21 years I've been raising a black son. This race, and that is for the last 21 years I've been raising a black son in America. And
Just wanna
I've
make
had
a
to
note of
have
that.
Very, very serious talks with my son Dante about how to protect himself on the streets of our city and all over this country,
Dante.
including how to deal
Dante.
with the fact that he has to take special caution because there
Your
have
son
been
is
too
the
many
Antichrist,
tragedies
sir.
between. He has to take special caution because there
Your
have
son
been
is
too
the
many
Antichrist,
tragedies
sir.
between
You need
our
to kill
young
him.
men and our,
You need
our
to kill
young men
him.
and our police too, as we saw recently in Indiana. So we need to have a different conversation in this country about guns, but also a different conversation about policing that brings police and community together. We've done that in New York City, and we've driven down crime while we've done it. But to your question, in New York City, and we've driven down crime while we've done it. But to your question about Mitch McConnell, there's a political solution that we have to come to grips with. If the Democratic Party would stop acting like the party of the elites and be the party of working people again and go into states,
Yeah,
including
that's
red
true.
states, to
That's
convince
true.
people we're
The
on their
Democratic Party
side.
does act like
We
the
can
party of the
pressure
elites.
on their
Thank you.
states to
That's
convince people
true.
we're
The
on their
Democratic Party
side.
does act
We
like the
can
party of the
pressure
elites.
on their
Thank you.
senators to act- senators to act-
Thank you for
to
saying
vote
that.
For the nominees that are put
That is a big flaw in the Democrat Party. They think they're fucking, they're kings and queens and we're their serfs.
I will get you 30 seconds. I promise. Let me get this question. We're trying. I know you guys. 30 seconds. I promise. Let me get this question. We're trying. I know you guys. We got other issues with this. I promise. Let me get this question. We're trying. I know you guys. We got other issues we're trying to get to, including a big one coming up in a
They're
minute.
not even
But
answering
Senator
their
Warren,
questions. It
I wanna
doesn't matter what the
continue
questions
on
are because they're not
Mitch
answering the
McConnell
All right.
thing because you have a lot
They don't
of
answer the
ambitious
question,
plans. You
let
have
me
a plan
drink
for
the
that.
whole thing.
Okay.
You're okay.
You're okay. We talked about the Supreme Court. Do you have a plan to deal with Mitch McConnell
excited.
if you don't beat him in the Senate? If he's still sitting there as the Senate Majority Leader, it's very plausible you be elected president with a Republican Senate. It's very plausible you be elected president with a Republican Senate. Do you have a plan to deal with Mitch McConnell?
I do.
I know people laughed. I guess they don't believe her.
All right. I really
We
thought she
are
was going to deflect it.
democracy. And the way of democracy.
I really
We
thought she
are
was going to deflect it.
democracy. And the way of democracy is supposed to work is the will of the people.
We are not a
matters.
democracy. She's an
Now,
idiot. Don't
we
vote
for
for her.
far too
All right, new
long
rule.
have had
We
a
can make
Congress
our own
in
rules up,
Washington that has
like,
just completely
like
dismissed
Just make
before
rules
the,
as we go
what
on.
people
Yeah, it's
care
a-
about across this country.
because I don't know, we're not going to remember the rules. Yeah, it's
care
a,
about across this country.
because I don't know, we're not going to remember the rules, the list of rules, the list of rules. So, like, we'll say it now, and then if it happens, like, you have to say it ahead of time, though.
Lobbyists and lawyers,
You know what I mean?
and not made it
You can't
work
just say
for the
it,
people.
like-
Yes, of course.
Well, here's
Hasn't
how I
happened.
see this happen.
You don't know there's no
Number
Bernie.
one,
Where's Bernie
sure.
up there?
I
How come
wanna
he's not
see
up
us
there?
get it
Isn't he?
done. Here's
Hasn't
how I
happened.
see this happen.
You don't know there's no
Number
Bernie.
one,
Where's Bernie
sure.
up there?
I
How come
wanna
he's not
see
up
us
there?
get a
Isn't he top
Democratic
10?
majority,
He top 10?
majority in the
As soon as they
Senate.
mentioned Bernie,
But
let's
short
check
of
this.
Democratic majority in the Senate, you better understand, the fight still goes on. It starts in the White House, and it means that everybody we energize in 2020 stays on. Everybody we energize in 2020 stays on the front lines come January 2021. We have to push from the outside, have leadership from the inside, and make this Congress
talk about
reflect
POTUS,
the
Chuck.
will
I'm
of
gonna
the people.
get a couple of you in here. I'm gonna get you a couple in here. 30 seconds. I'm gonna get a couple of you in here. I'm gonna get you a couple in here. 30 seconds.
Any shape or form they talk about POTUS, we chug.
You seem to believe you can do everything in a
But yeah, that's what I said.
bipartisan
If they say
manner.
Trump or mention Trump in any way, we
Mitch McConnell
chug? Okay, we chug.
doesn't
But if
operate
they say
that
Trump
way. He
twice, we
operates
can't do it. We can
differently.
chug
Why
two
do you
beers.
think he is going to conform to your style?
There we go. Let's do it.
We
They can
Differently.
chug
Why
two
do you
beers.
think he is going to conform to your style?
There we go. Let's do
I
it.
think we need to get things done. We need to get things done.
I didn't
That's
hear the
why
questions
we
as
need
they
to
keep
operate in a
talking. Sorry,
bipartisan
guys.
manner. Listen, I'll sign into law pills that come to the White House that are passed on a party-line
Pills?
basis.
You gonna sign
Absolutely.
the law pills?
But all the big transformative things we've ever done in this country's history have happened. When big transformative things we've ever done in this country's history have happened when huge majorities of the American people get behind them, which is why we need real solutions, not impossible promises. We need to put forth ideas that work, whether it's on health care, creating universal
Healthcare.
health
You mentioned
care so
healthcare.
everyone gets health care, but not
Drink when they-
where creating universal
Healthcare.
health
You mentioned
care so
healthcare.
everyone gets health care, but not
Drink when they
relying
mention
on
healthcare.
making private,
Mention
on making
healthcare.
private insurance illegal. The gun issue is related. The gun safety issue is related because I can't tell you how many times I've been with folks in Western Maryland, and they've said to me, you know, Democrats don't do anything for us, Republicans don't do anything for us. You know, Democrats don't do anything for us, Republicans don't do anything for us. You fight all the time,
Yeah.
so they vote on that single issue. If we
From here
become
on
a
out,
party
whenever
of
they
getting
denounce
things done
Republicans,
for the
you drink.
American people with
Whenever
real
they
solutions,
denounce
not
who?
impossible
Republicans.
promises,
Okay.
we'll be able to get all the
And
way
remember
to
to,
230s here.
we should next time we're gonna write all this down. And remember to, we should next time we're gonna write all this down. And
how do you deal
we'll just make up our own. Yeah, because this is the start. This is the start of something. So we'll just do
What's
this.
stopping us from writing them down?
We're in the middle of a video.
Writing down my notes.
When I got to the United States Senate, going back to what de Blasio said, as an
Writing down my notes.
when I got to the United States Senate, going back to what de Blasio said, as an African American man in an African American
Bullshit. You're just a bald white man with
one of the biggest issue was criminal justice reform, but police accountability and dealing with the fact that we have a nation that has more African Americans under criminal supervision than all the slaves in 1850. And when I got to under criminal supervision, than all the slaves in 1850. And when I got to the Senate, people told me we could not get a comprehensive criminal justice reform bill done. As my colleagues in the Senate know, I fought on that bill from the day I got to the Senate, built coalitions across the aisle, and today we passed the First Step Act. It's not as far as I want to go, but today we passed the First Step Act. It's not as far as I want to go, but thousands of people will be liberated. I've taken on tough problems people said we cannot achieve, and I've been able to get things accomplished.
Thank you, Senator Booker. Rachel's got the next question.
Trump move. That's a Trump move.
Happy with where we go. Governor Inslee, this next
Trump move. That's a Trump move.
happy with where we go. Governor Inslee, this next
Give us a second. Give us a second.
is to you.
Look at that smile.
You got me?
Oh man, he's like, oh.
You better fucking call me a question. Give me a question, damn it. I want to talk.
Sounds like he looks like a villain.
For you. You said
That
it's
smile.
all the issues. Let's get specific.
He's gonna have
Third
a
priority
villain.
for you. You said
That
it's all
smile.
the issues. Let's get specific.
He's gonna have a German accent.
We're here in Miami, which is already experiencing serious flooding on sunny days.
Was he
as a
the
result
general?
of
Is that the
sea
general
level
that
rise.
that ran
Parts of
last time?
Miami Beach and
Looks
the
like him.
Keys could be underwater in our
I actually liked him.
lifetimes. Does your plan save Miami?
Go to the general.
Does your plan save Miami?
Go to the general.
First by taking away the filibuster from Mitch McConnell to start with. We have to do that. Look at. We are the first generation to feel the sting of climate change, and we are the last that can do something about it. Our towns are burning, our fields are flooding, Miami is inundated. And we have to understand, this is a climate crisis, an emergency. And it is our last chance in the administration, next one, to do something about it. And we need to do what I've done in my state. We've passed a 100% clean electrical grid bill. We now have a vision statement.
100%.
My plan has been
They got rid of all their gas
gold
stations?
standard of putting people to work.
I don't think so.
But the most important thing on this, and the biggest decision for the American public is, who's going to make this the first priority? And I am the candidate and the only one who's saying this has to be the top priority of the United States, the organizing principle to mobilize the United States so that we can do what we've always done. Lead the world and invent the future and put 8 million people to work.
Governor,
that's what we're going to do.
Congressman O'Rourke, you've also put out a big climate change plan from your campaign. You want some big changes in a pretty short period of time, including switching to renewable energy, pushing to replace gas-powered cars in favor of electric ones. What's your message to a voter who supports the overall goal of what you're trying to do, but suddenly feels as if government's telling them how to live and ordering them how to live? What is that balance like?
I think you've got to bring everybody in to the decisions and the solutions to the challenges that we face. That's why we're traveling everywhere, listening to everyone. We were in Pacific Junction, a town that had never meaningfully flooded before, just up against the Missouri River in Iowa. And every home in that community had flooded. There were farms just outside of Pacific Junction
guess
that
we
were
can't tell if they're
effectively
reflecting on the
lakes.
question if
Those
not
farmers
listening to the
already
question.
underwater in debt. Their markets closed to them by a trade
Flooding,
war under this
flooding,
administration. And now they
Drink
don't know
more
what to
Modelo.
do. We in our administration are going to fund
What happened to all the breaks that they were throwing at us? We were like, we were getting breaks left and right a minute ago. Now it's just like play.
Climate change today. We're going to mobilize $5 trillion in this economy over the next 10 years. We're going to free ourselves from a dependence on fossil fuels.
I don't
And
think
we're
this
gonna
guy
put farmers and
has any
ranchers
idea
in the
what he's
driver's
talking about
seat.
or what he's doing,
Renewable
and
and sustainable
definitely not going to be
agriculture
president.
to
I don't
make
know
sure
why
we
he's getting
capture
as much
more
attention
carbon
as he
out of
is.
the air
It's kind of
and
weird.
keep more of it in the soil.
Where's he from? Somewhere
Paying
somewhere in
farmers for the environmental
Texas.
services
Texas,
that
where?
they want to provide. If all of us does all that we
Beto.
can,
You know
we're
where
going to be
Beto's
able to keep
I
this
don't know where
planet
any of
from
these
warming
people
another
are
2
from.
degrees
He's from
Celsius
Texas. He
and
needs to pay
ensure
more
that we
attention
match
to this.
what this country can do and
He
live
doesn't
up to our
look like
promise
from
and our
Texas. He looks
potential.
like
30 seconds,
San
Senator
Francisco.
Castro.
he looks like he was born in a basement and spent his life in
The
there.
mitigation to climate, whether it's building seawalls, for people that are
I'm just
perhaps
talking
living
shit
in
at this point.
places that they shouldn't be living? Is this a federal government issue that needs
Who
to do
is
that?
this guy? He's
Do
like
they have to
ambassador
move
to
these people?
Japan or
What do you do
something?
about that? They're
Everybody make
someplace
Kung Fu fighting.
pays to build that house. And how much should the government be bailing them out?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't think that
I
that
suppose we can go to
represents the
war with
vast
Americans
issue.
for
In fact,
about a
you know,
year,
my
and
first
then
visit
maybe, I don't know.
announced my candidacy wasn't to Iowa or New Hampshire. It was to San Juan.
Oh, you want $500? I'm sorry, I
Because
missed
people
that.
should know that if I'm elected president, everybody will count. And, you know, I'm one of the few
Except for
candidates in this
conservatives.
space with executive experience, with a track record of getting things done. When I was mayor of San Antonio, we
Man, I
moved
thought he was
our
gonna
local
say
public
all lives
utility.
matter.
We began to shift it from coal-fired plants to solar and other renewables, and also created more than 800 jobs doing that. And when I was HUD
By the
Secretary,
way.
we worked on the National Disaster Resilience Competition to invest in communities that were trying to rebuild
Alright,
from
new
natural
rule.
disasters
We have to
in a
finish
sustainable way.
this
That's the
amount
way
of beer.
that we're
Hey,
going
we're
to
gonna
make
finish it.
sure that we're all safer in the years to come and that we combat climate change. And if I'm elected president, the first thing that I would do, like Senator Klobuchar also
Thank you,
has said, is sign an executive order
supposed to be
recommitting
2
us
hours
to the
long,
Paris
so I
Climate
think
Accord
it's-
so that we
Thank you,
lead
Secretary. Congressman Ryan, I got a full question for you here, which is simply this. There are a lot of the climate plans include
we have
pricing
plenty of time.
carbon, taxing carbon in some way. This type of proposal has been tried in a few places, whether it's Washington State, where voters voted it down. You've had the Yellow Vest movement. We had in Australia one party get rejected out of fear of the cost of climate change sort of being put on the backs of the consumer. If pricing carbon is just politically impossible, how do we pay for climate mitigation?
Well, there's a variety of different ways to pay. We talk about different ways of raising revenue, and I think we've got to build our way out of this.
I don't
and
know,
grow
we're
our
talking
way
about
out
climate
of this.
change,
Let
I'm
me
just
talk
bored
real
by it. I don't
to
know.
The previous question about
Not really interested.
real politics. We could talk about climate, we could talk about guns, we could talk about all of these issues that we all care about. We have a perception problem with the Democratic Party. We are not connecting to the working class people in the very states that I represent in Ohio, in the industrial Midwest. We've lost all connection.
Looks like it.
That we have got to change the center of gravity of the Democratic Party from being coastal and elitist and Ivy League, which is the perception, to somebody from the forgotten communities that have been left behind for the last 30 years, to get those workers back on our side. So we can say we're going to build electric vehicles, we're going to build solar panels. But
Wish
if
you
you
thought
want
of
to beat
this
Mitch
earlier.
McConnell, this better be a working class party if you want to go into Kentucky and take his rear end out. And if you want to take Lindsey Graham out, you got to have a blue collar party that can go into the textile communities in South Carolina. So all I'm saying here,
I can't drive for like 2 days.
so all I'm saying is that if we don't address that fundamental problem with our connection to workers, white, black, brown, gay, straight, working class people, none of this is going to get done,
I was
Chuck.
thinking about it.
Hey, man, we're just getting started. This is good.
I'm putting myself in danger if I do that shit, man. I don't know about that.
I got you.
30 seconds, go. All
I
the
got you.
economists
I got you.
agree that a carbon pricing
gotta get
mechanism
home now.
works. You just have to do
All
it
new.
right. You can't put a price on carbon, raise
all
energy
new.
prices,
Yep.
and
All
not give the money back to the American people. My proposal
You said you
is
were
to put a
crashing here
price on
anyways.
carbon, give a dividend back
Yeah,
to the
but
American
not for
people.
this.
It goes out one
fuck
pocket,
you.
back in the other.
No,
If I can get that passed my first year as
It hurts
president
me
with a
to not do
coalition of
it.
every Democrat in the Congress and the
How'd you get that
Republicans
for?
who live in coastal states.
Thank
Those
you.
Republicans in Florida, they
Stuff like
actually
that.
care about this issue. This
thank you
has
very
got to be our way forward if
is
we're
like a
actually
power
serious
play.
about this issue.
Congresswoman Gabbard,
It's like the ropes.
one of the
with
first
acid.
things you did after launching your campaign was to issue an apology to the LGBTQ
It was like
community
one
about
of
your
them,
past
I got
stances
like
and
a-
statements on gay rights.
a
After the Trump
strip
administration's
of
rollbacks of civil rights protections for
I
many in
got a
that
question
community,
for Lucy.
And then
why
I
should
had
voters in that
leftovers
community,
from
or
that,
voters that
and
care
another
about
one
this
was
issue
like
in
a thin
general,
strip for
trust you
40.
now?
Let me
Those
say
ones we
that
had
there is
last
no
time.
one in our government
I'll take
at any level who has the right to tell any American
No.
who they
Party
should
time now.
be allowed to love or who they should be
Nah.
allowed to marry.
Another time.
Why'd you bring that?
My
I was
record in
thinking about
Congress
it,
for over
but I'd
6
rather do,
years
like, much
shows my commitment to fighting for
Yeah, so would I. So let's do
equality.
this and
I serve on the
we'll
Equality
do mushrooms.
Caucus
I'm out to
and
get some.
recently voted for passage of the
No,
Equality Act.
I guess I'm
Maybe
gonna save
many
it for a better
people in
time.
this country can relate to the fact that I grew up in a
Should.
socially conservative home, held views when I was very young that I no longer hold today.
The next
I
event.
served with LGBTQ
Yes.
service members. both in training and deployed downrange. I know that they would give their life for me, and I would give my life for them. It is this commitment that I'll carry through as President of the United States, recognizing that there are still people who are facing discrimination in the workplace, still people who are unable to find a home for their families. It is this kind of discrimination that we need to address.
But it's not
I haven't
enough.
mentioned
It's
Trump
not
in a
enough. If I
minute.
can add to this, it's very important.
30
because
seconds,
It's not
Senator.
enough. Look,
I'm
civil
tired of
rights
this guy.
is the
How about
place
we
to
take a
begin,
drink every
but
time
the
this guy
African
talks,
American
starting
civil
with
rights
this
community,
one.
Another place to focus on was to stop the lynching of African Americans. We do not talk enough about
Who's
trans
lynching African Americans?
especially African American trans Americans, and the incredibly high rates of murder right now. We don't
Everything is
talk enough about
arguably
children,
ridiculous.
about 30%
Who drink? Who drink?
of you kids who do not go to school because of fear. It's not enough just to be on the Equality Act. I'm an original co-sponsor. We need to have a president that will fight to protect LGBTQ Americans every single day.
Thank you, Senator Booker.
And that's going to be me.
On the issue of civil rights, for decades,
Right now, they're under attack.
on the issue of
Certainly
civil
not
rights and
raging in the streets with dicks all over themselves. Excuse me.
For decades, the Democratic Party has counted on African American voter turnout as step one to winning elections on a national level. Democrats are counting on the Latino community now and in the future in the same way. What have you done for Black and Latino voters that should
Yeah, what have you
enthuse them
done?
about
Let's hear it.
voting
This better be
for
good.
you if you're your party's nominee?
My life and my career and my work in the Senate has been about economic opportunity. And to me, this means better child care for everyone in this country. And when you want to have an economy that works, you need to have retirement that works. You need to have public schools
I think
that
Jesus
work.
sounds like
And
totally
you also
deflecting.
need to make
I
sure
don't hear what this has
that
anything to do
those
with.
communities are able to get those jobs of the future, the STEM jobs. In fact, Donald Trump, one of the first bills that he signed, of the 34 he signed where I was the lead Democrat, okay, that's a first up here, was one that was about that, making sure minority community members could share in those jobs. So to me, this is about a few things. It's about an African American woman that goes to a hospital in New Orleans, says her hands are swollen, and then doctor ignores her and her baby dies. It's about the fact that African American women make 61 cents for every dollar a white man makes.
Bullshit.
So in short,
New rule,
we
every
need
time
to
they talk
one,
about
and I will
black
do this
people.
in my first 100 days
We
as
drink.
president.
Well, that's the
We will
topic right now. We can
work to
keep
make
changing
sure
the rules for the
everyone
topic
can
that they're
vote
on at
at
the
this
moment.
table. Everyone can vote in this country. And we
fair
will
enough.
also go to the next step of criminal justice reform. Senator Booker and I worked on that First Step Act, but we should go to the second.
Hang on.
Here in Miami, you are the only
What you
Latino
sharing with?
Democrat who is running
My
this year in
phone.
the
I
presidential
mean,
race.
like, what
Is that
Internet?
what type of
an answer?
app?
What Senator Klobuchar is describing there, an
YouTube.
economic justice agenda. Is that enough to mobilize Latino voters to stand with the Democratic Party in a big way?
Well, I
The
also think we
samurai
have to
will never
recognize
back
racial
down
social
and
justice.
never
I was in
surrender.
Charleston not too long ago, and I remembered that Dylan Roof went to the Mother Emanuel AME Church, and he murdered 9 people who were worshiping, and then he was apprehended by police without incident. Well, but what
tipsy
about Eric
already.
Garner and Tamir Rice and Laquan McDonald and Sandra Bland and Pamela Turner and Antonio Arce? I'm proud that I'm the only candidate so far that has put forward legislation that would reform our policing system in America and make sure that no matter what the color of your skin is, that you're treated the
It's
same.
not even an issue
including
anymore.
Latinos
I think,
who
sorry,
are mistreated
ridiculous.
too
I'm
often
gonna share
by
the
police.
link
Castro, thank you.
to the live
Let me
stream.
go over to
Okay.
Lester Holt, who's got a question, I believe, a viewer question.
I'm over here, Chuck. Thanks. We ask voters from across the country to submit their questions and the candidates. Let me read one now. This comes from John in New York.
Look at this
Who
guy back
submitted
there.
this question.
He's like,
He
"Hi, Mom."
asks, does the United States have a responsibility to protect in the case of genocide or crimes against humanity? Do we have a responsibility to intervene to protect people threatened by their governments, even when atrocities do not affect
not
American
legally.
core interests? I'd like to direct that question to Congressman O'Rourke.
His head looks weird.
John, I appreciate the question. The answer is yes, but that action should always be undertaken with allies and partners and friends. When the United States presents a united front, we have a much better chance of achieving our foreign policy aims and preventing the kind of genocide to which you refer, the kind of genocide that we saw in Rwanda, the kind of genocide we want to stop going forward. But unfortunately, under this administration, President Trump has alienated our allies and our friends and our alliances, He's diminished our standing in the world, and he's made us
That's a
weaker
chug, man.
as a country, less able to
You think you
confront
cut
challenges,
yourself
whether
short?
it's Iran or North Korea or Vladimir
I guess
Putin,
I'm lightweight
Russia,
today.
who attacked and invaded our democracy.
New
in
one.
I just opened mine. I
2016.
just opened my
And
beer.
President Trump has offered another
Come on, man, you
invitation
gotta do it.
to do the same.
You know you gotta do it.
He's embraced strongmen and dictators at the expense of the great democracies.
Come on, man,
As
I'll help you
president,
out.
I will make
Chuck,
sure
Chuck,
that we live
Chuck,
our
Chuck,
values
Chuck.
in our foreign
Hey.
policy. I will ensure that we strengthen those alliances and partnerships and friendships and meet any challenge that we face together. That makes America stronger.
What about the War Powers Act? What about the War Powers Act being a part of that equation with deep respect to the congressman? Look, we've learned painful lessons as Americans. That we've gone to war without congressional authorization. Look, this is very personal for me. I know the cost of war. My dad served in the Pacific in World War II in the U.S. Army. Battled
Against guys
Okinawa,
like this
had
guy right next
his
to me.
leg blown off, and he came home with scars, both physical and
blow them
emotional.
like Gooks
And he
and
did that,
numb.
recovered, he spiraled downward, and he ultimately took his own life. And that battle didn't kill him, but that war did. And look, even in the humanitarian crisis, and I think we should be ready, Congressman, to intervene. God forbid there is a genocide, but not without congressional approval. Democrats and Republicans, both in the Congress, have not challenged presidents and have let them get away with running the military without the congressional approval. We learned a lesson in Vietnam we seem to have forgotten. And
Obama was the first one to do it. Send troops over there without declaring war. No, that was a declaration of war.
In Afghanistan.
I think. Pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong.
As disparate as President Obama and President Trump have both said that they want to end U.S. involvement in Afghanistan, but it isn't over for America. Why isn't it over? Why can't presidents of very different parties and very different temperaments get us out of there? And how could you?
I appreciate that question. So I've been in Congress 17 years.
And what have you done?
12 of those years, I've sat on the Armed Services Committee, the Defense Appropriations
Sat there and
Committee, or
did
the Armed
nothing?
Services Committee. And the lesson that I've learned over the years is that you have to stay engaged in these situations. Nobody likes it. It's
Boring.
long, it's tedious.
Yeah, you got that now.
But right now we have.
That was
so
just,
I would say
you sent that
we
right when I
must be
started the
engaged
live
in this.
stream
We must
saying
have
that
our State
this whole
Department
debate was
engaged. We
boring.
must have our military engaged to the extent they need.
It's
to
just
be.
all caps,
But the reality
boring.
of it is, this president
Yeah,
doesn't
honestly,
even
a lot
have
of it
people
is
appointed in the State
kinda hard to
Department to deal with these things. Whether
Make
we're
drinks
talking
on
about
very,
Central
unless we're doing
America,
very basic
whether we're
things like
talking
them
about
saying
Iran,
Donald Trump
whether we're
mentioning
talking
Trump or
about
something.
Afghanistan, we've got to
Absolutely
be
ridiculous.
completely engaged. And
Because it
here's
is
why.
boring. It is
Because
boring. We're
these
doing our best to try to
flare-ups
make it a little more
distract
exciting.
us from the real problems in the country. If getting drones shot down for $130 million because the president
I thought it was 125 million.
That's $130 million that we could be spending in places like Youngstown, Ohio, or Flint, Michigan, or rebuilding.
Yes,
Give you
or
30 seconds,
rebuilding.
actually, to jump off what he said. He described.
Sounds like a deflection.
Oh,
Drink.
Drink,
The
drink, drink.
parents of those two
it.
soldiers who were just killed in Afghanistan, well, we just have to be engaged. As a soldier, I will tell you, that answer is unacceptable. We have to bring our troops home from Afghanistan.
Oh,
We are in a
she
place
got
in
fucking-
Afghanistan where we have lost so many lives. We've spent so much money that's coming out of every one of our pockets, money that should be going into communities here at home, meeting the needs of the people here at home. We are no better off in Afghanistan today than we were when this war began.
Why are we
This
running
is
out of
why
money
it's
for
so
Medicare, but
important
we're
to
not
have
running
a
out of money for
president,
illegal
commander in
immigrants
chief,
and all this other crap?
who knows the cost of war and who's ready to
Always
do the
money for
job
that.
on day one. I am ready to do that
Doesn't
job when I
exist.
walk into the Oval Office. Thank you very much.
Listen, I'm gonna go down the line. I'm gonna go down the line here. Well, you know what? You felt like she was responding. You get 30 seconds.
Very
Go.
good man.
Fair enough.
Appreciate that.
I hear what you're saying.
I would just say I don't want to be engaged. I wish we were spending all this money in places that I've represented that have been completely forgotten and we were rebuilding. But the reality of it is, if the United States isn't engaged, the Taliban will grow and they will have bigger, bolder terrorist acts. We have got to have some present there. As
The Taliban was there long before we came in. They'll be there long before we leave.
Well,
we cannot keep U.S.
And they were
troops deploying to Afghanistan thinking that we're going to somehow squash this Taliban that has been there, that every other country that's
I
tried
didn't
has
say
failed.
squash them. When we weren't in there, they started flying planes into our buildings. So I'm just saying right now,
The
we have
Taliban
an
didn't attack us on 9/11.
You're booing this guy.
Al-Qaeda did.
Well, I
Al-Qaeda attacked us on 9/11.
I understand.
That's why I and so
This is a little exciting right here. This is not bad.
Al-Qaeda, not the Taliban.
The
Taliban
finish up, Ken.
was protecting those people who were plotting against us. All I'm saying is, if we want to go into elections, if we want to say that we got to withdraw
barely
from the
see it,
world, that's what
This is
President
not too
Trump
bad.
is
This is
saying.
kind of exciting.
We can't. I would love for us to.
Protecting Al Qaeda right now. Saudi Arabia.
I want to go down the line here, finish up foreign policy. It's a simple question. What is the biggest threat to, who is the geopolitical threat to the
Who is
United
the
States?
real time
Just give me
traveler?
one word answer, Congressman Delaney.
You're gonna say Trump.
Could you repeat the greatest geopolitical threat to the United States right now, Congressman Delaney?
Well, the biggest geopolitical challenge is China, but the biggest geopolitical threat remains nuclear weapons.
Okay.
Right? So those are, those are different.
They say North Korea.
One word answer, damn it.
The biggest threat to the security
One
of the
word
United
answer,
States
son
is
of a-
Donald Trump.
Yeah!
There's one. I knew it. I called it.
The greatest threat that we face is the fact that we are at a greater risk of nuclear war today than ever before in history.
Senator
Two threats: economic threat, China, but our major threat right
Yeah,
now
chug
is
that,
what's
right?
going on in the Mideast with Iran. If we
God.
don't get our
Try to
act
keep it
killing me.
slimmer than what we've been going here. One or two words.
Our existential threat is climate change. We have to confront it before it's too late.
Yeah.
Nuclear proliferation and climate change.
Secretary Castro.
You gotta chug for Trump, man. Chug for Trump.
Congressman Brown.
China, without a question, they're wiping us around the world economically.
And Mr. Mayor.
Russia, because they're trying to undermine our democracy, and they've been doing it for
Oh.
We need to stop them.
Okay, that's definitely the Russian collusion one. So
Thank you.
drink,
That
buddy.
wide variety of
Drink
answers.
up.
And I mean that. No, I mean that in a, that's what this debate is about. This is the best part of the
Who's
debate
winning
like
this game? Me or you?
You are.
Special Counsel Robert
That's
Mueller's
right.
report outlines multiple instances of potential criminal behavior by President Trump. House Speaker Pelosi has publicly and privately resisted any move toward impeachment in the House. If the House chooses not to impeach, as president, would you do anything to address the potential crimes that were outlined in Mr. Mueller's report?
Yes, and I'll tell you why.
How, by the way, if the answer is yes?
One of the most powerful pieces of art in the United States Capitol is the Trumbull painting of General George Washington resigning his commission to the Continental Congress. At the height of his power, submitting to the rule of law and the will of people. That has withstood the
good
test
job.
of time for the last 243
carpet's clean
years.
over there.
If we
Big
set another
belt
precedent
style
now,
thing.
that a candidate who invited the participation of a foreign power, a president who sought to obstruct the investigation into the invasion of our democracy, if we allow him to get away with this with complete impunity, we will set a new standard, and that is that some
more
people,
beer.
because of the position
They're in
of
the
power
fridge.
and public trust that they hold, are above the law. And we cannot allow that to stand. So we must begin impeachment now, so that we have the facts and the truth, and we
think
follow them
fall
as far as they
behind.
go.
Now
and
they're
find
going-
out
they're
as they
going
reach
crazy
to
now.
Save this democracy. And if we've not been able to do that in this year or the year that follows, and under my administration, our Department of Justice will pursue these facts and ensure that there are consequences, there is accountability, and there is
Whenever the
justice. It's the
crowd
only way
goes
that we
wild,
save this country.
we go
Thank you,
wild.
Congressman Mueller.
Because of the accountability issues
Like
that
whenever-
Congressman
whenever the
Walker
crowd
was describing
interrupts
there,
the speech.
and the real
That
political
type of wild, not like
landscape in which Nancy Pelosi
not like
is saying that
an
impeachment will
ensemble
not
where
be
the guy
pursued in the
finishes his
House.
conversation
It
and then
raises the
expects a
prospect,
clap.
and the Mueller report
The
raises the
claps have
prospect
to
that President
be
Trump could be prosecuted for some of those potential
to be
crimes down the
unwelcome.
line.
It has to be an
No U.S.
unwelcome.
president has
Okay,
ever
I
been
got you.
prosecuted
Yeah.
for crimes after leaving office. Do you believe that President Trump could or should be the first?
I guess there's always a first. I don't think anyone's above the law.
Dude, president right there with the drink.
Is above the law, including a president. I support Speaker Pelosi's decisions that she's making in the House of Representatives right now as Speaker. I think she knows more about the decision as to whether to impeach the president than any of the 2020 candidates combined.
Conceding.
So, but I do think that no one's above the law, and this president, who is lawless,
There's it again.
should not be above the law. But I will tell you, Rachel, the one thing when you're out doing as much campaigning as I've done, 400 events, all 99 counties in Iowa, this is not the #1 issue the American people ask us about. It's not. They want to know what we're going to do for health care, how we're going to lower pharmaceutical prices, how we're going to build infrastructure, what we're going to do to create jobs in their communities. You know, last year in our country, 80% of the money for startup businesses went to 50 counties in this country. There's over 3,000 counties in this country. That's what they care about. They care about what's going on in the public schools. They care about what's going on with jobs in their communities, with their pay, with their health care.
Don't tell me what I care about.
These are the issues, these kind of kitchen table, pocketbook issues are actually what most Americans care about. They never ask about it.
I don't know what I care about.
They never ask about it. They want to know how we're
I
going to
care
solve
about.
these problems. Here's the thing, I still, Senator,
Figure it out
We
later.
let the Republicans run our elections.
We got to-
And if we do not do
I can't
something
believe
about
we're doing
Russian
this.
interference in the election, and we let Mitch McConnell stop all the backup paper ballots, then we're not going to get what we
All
want
right,
to do.
I got to sneak in, but we blew through a break, which is good news to give you more time, so I got to
through a
sneak
break.
one in now. More of this debate.
Okay.
Stick it up here. It continues right after this.
Damn, you guys, that one hit me hard.
We are going to start with something different.
All right,
This
a
is
good
one of those
break.
things that you have not
That
otherwise
was-
hearing about
Let's
in the news,
clear our
but
minds.
stick with
Fuck.
With fresh perspective. Get your
Fuck. Does that sound like you had too much to drink yet?
I just put away like 2.5 beers hella quick.
Here it is. This
And
is the
hit
month
me.
to start
It
looking
turned
at
us
on your
down.
calendar.
Doing
February
grasshopper?
2020.
Where's the-
That's when all the talk ends.
Pay
The
attention.
voting begins, and that massive, gigantic,
Where's the
enormous
remote?
Democratic presidential field, it gets thinned
the
down.
remote?
Maybe by the end of that month, we'll even have a pretty good
Where'd you
sense
do it?
who the nominee is going to be. You know, Iowa,
To you.
always in that leadoff position. The
Who,
Iowa
Mom?
caucuses, there is Monday,
fuck up.
February 3rd. The race begins in Iowa, and then traditionally, it is a continuous
I don't know. Maybe I should have had more food or less food.
caucuses in Iowa.
Had bacon burger from
Okay, the last 10 minutes were actually really good. They were so good, the arguing, and
It's hard to keep up.
it's
Like,
kind of hard to keep up, actually. Yeah, that was.
It's like I want to listen to what they have to say, but now we're playing this game, stupid game, making us drunk as fuck.
For me, it went from like super boring to just like I'm into this, and at the same time, I gotta keep chugging this drink. And like then we pounded it, and that first one I pounded didn't even go through before I started having to take more shots of beer. They just kept mentioning Donald Trump.
Yeah, and our rule is like we have to chug every time they mention president.
Every time they mention a president, every time they deflect
Okay,
on a
let's
question.
let's redefine that rule.
Huh.
They mention the president, like you have to chug the beer, but if they say president, like 3 times in a row while you're chugging it, that doesn't count. Like you have to.
I guess so. All right, if they mention Trump in the same statement, then nah, forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To finish your
But
beer.
if they make multiple points about Trump, then you have to drink for each one, though.
Yeah. Like if they talk about Trump and then they talk about something else and then they talk about Trump again, even if it's for the same reason as before, then you drink. As long if there's a break period in between the Trump discussion. Like if there's like, all right, Trump, gun, and they talk about healthcare, and they go back to Trump and guns. Then,
Yeah, you drink again. Yeah. What's this? The timer
You
ran
wanna go on
out.
his lap?
We should be back.
You want to go on his lap?
No.
You want to go on his lap?
Oh, I gotta refill this one on the break.
Yep.
All right, and we're back with another bucket of beer and another round of hot debates. Because Mexicans drink Modelo's. There we go.
Lost through infighting,
Bless
lost
that
through
shit.
inaction. We're so much better than this.
So
We're
much
a country
better.
that used to do things. We saved the world.
We created the American dream for millions of people like myself.
Hey.
The grandson of
We don't have
the
nude
son of a union
beaches.
electrician who went on
Fuck
to become
America.
a successful business leader and create thousands of jobs. But we did these things with real solutions, not with impossible promises. And those are the roots that we have to get back to. I'm running for
Do we have
president
nude
to
beaches?
solve these problems, to
We have
build
nude
infrastructure,
beaches.
to fix our broken healthcare system,
This is
to
ridiculous.
invest in
Because if it's
communities that have been
ridiculous,
left
then we
behind,
drink.
to improve public education. I just don't want to be your president to be your
Congressman, your
president.
45
I
seconds
want
is
to
over.
be your president to do the job.
Thank you,
This
sir.
is not about me. This is about getting America working again.
Thank you.
Mayor de Blasio.
That's such a
Mayor
unenthusiastic audience. Like,
Totally
yeah.
blocking
we're-
the
This
stream.
fight for the heart and soul of our party that we
Scoot over.
nominate a candidate who has seen
You're
the
like-
face
You
of
call me
poverty and
fat?
just talk about
No,
it.
you're like, your
Who
head is
gave
totally
people
blocking the
$15
screen.
minimum
My
wage.
bad.
It matters that we
You're good.
nominate
We're
a
fine, we're
candidate
fine, we're fine.
who saw the destruction wrought by broken healthcare system and gave people universal health care. It matters
getting better.
that we choose someone who saw the wasted potential of our children denied pre-K and gave it to every single one of them for free. These things really matter. And these are the things that I've done in New York, and I want to do the same for this whole country. Because putting working people first, it matters. We need to be that party again. Let's
Sure,
work
yeah,
together.
but whatever
With your
happened to
help,
that?
We
Like,
can put
that's a
working
good
people
point.
first again in America.
That's another good point that the mayor has made of New York. You know, he's not too dumb.
Brittany and I have 3 grandchildren. We love them all. And when I was thinking about whether to run for president, I made a decision. I decided that on my last day on earth, I wanted to look them in the eye and tell them I did everything humanly possible to protect them from the ravages of the climate crisis.
Oh my God.
And I know to a moral
You're a puss.
certainty, if we do not have the next president
What?
who commits to this as the
No,
top priority, it
no,
won't get done.
You won't be
And
dead
I'm
in
the
12
only candidate,
years.
Frankly, I'm surprised. I'm the only candidate who's made this commitment to make it the top priority. If you join me in that recognition of how important this is, we can have a unified
You're a
national
moron.
mission. We can
Who's your
save
boopy
ourselves.
butt? Who's your
We can save
boopy
our
butt?
children. We can save our
What?
grandchildren. And we can save literally the life on this planet. This is our moment.
Congressman Ryan, you're 45
There's nothing worse than not being heard. Nothing worse than not being seen, and I know that because
Is this
I've
the end? I think
represented
this is it.
for 17 years in Congress a forgotten community. They've tried to divide us, who's white, who's black, who's gay, who's straight, who's a man, who's a woman, and they ran away with all the gold because they divided the working class. It's time for us to come together. I don't know how you feel, but I'm ready to play some offense.
Yeah.
I come from the middle of industrial America, but these problems are all over our country. There's a tent city in LA. There's homeless people and people
In
around
LA,
our
just
country who
LA,
can't
just LA.
afford a home. It's time for us to get back on track. The teacher in Texas, the nurse in New Hampshire, the waitress in Wisconsin, all of us coming together, playing offense with an agenda that lifts everybody up. I will only promise you one thing. When I walk into that Oval Office every morning, you will not be forgotten. Your voice will be heard. Thank you.
Congresswoman Gabbard, you have 45 seconds to your closing.
You know, our nation was founded
Got
on
it.
the principles of service above self. People who fled, kings who literally prospered on the backs and the sacrifices of people.
that weed's pretty
Coming
cool.
here to this country,
It's not bad.
instead putting
I mean,
in place
it's
a
not up
government
there,
that is
but-
of, by, and for the people.
It sets the mood.
But that's not what we have. Instead, we have a government that is of,
does.
by, and for the rich and powerful. This must end. As president, our White House will be a beacon of light, providing hope and opportunity, ushering in a new century where every single person will be able to get the health care they need, where we will have clean air to breathe and clean water to drink, where we will have good paying jobs in a new green economy.
That's all I can think of. Every time I
Join me
see
in
it,
ushering in
we'll
this
build
new
a bridge.
century
Build a
with
bridge to
peace,
Hawaii. Yeah.
prosperity,
He's just like
opportunity, and justice
governor
for
of
all.
Hawaii or something.
Thank you.
So yeah, we'll build a bridge. We'll just build a bridge to Hawaii. That's all I can think of.
I got an
It's
idea.
just pretty hot, but
I
yeah.
have an idea.
She said, okay.
Well, let's watch through here.
The very fact
And
That's
then
about face.
shows the progress
about
that we
face.
made.
Yeah, that's about face.
The promise of America. My
my
grandmother
shit,
came here when she was 7 years old as an immigrant.
Let me
from
read what you
Mexico.
guys are saying.
And just 2 generations later, one of her grandsons is serving in the United States Congress, and the other one is running for president of the United States. If I'm elected president, I will work hard every single day so that you and your family can get good health care, your child can get a good education, and that you can have good job opportunities, whether you live in a big city or a small town. And
Looks like
on
a white
January
man.
20th, 2021,
He's so white. He's
we'll say
fucking.
adios to Donald Trump.
It's crazy.
Like alien white.
Is there like a way to focus it?
No, we can zoom in.
Three things to
Use
know
2
about
fingers.
me. First, I listen to people,
Oh, yeah,
and
that's
that's
much
how I
better.
get things done. That is my focus. I have a track record of passing over 100 bills.
There we
when
go.
I'm a
Fuck, why is it
Democrat,
so-
and that is because I listened.
Why is
and
it
I
so,
acted,
ah?
and I think that's the precedent.
I think this
Everything
needs to be
else just
oiled up.
melts away. Secondly, I'm someone that can win and beat Donald Trump.
I don't
won
think so. Who
every
is this?
place, every race, and every
Nah,
time. I have
nah.
won in
No.
the reddest of
No,
places.
no one's gonna
What
vote
is
for
it
you,
Donald
lady.
Trump
No one's
won
gonna
by
vote
over
for you.
20 points. I can
No,
win
I don't even know
states
who
like
you are.
Wisconsin and Iowa and in Michigan.
This is not enough
And
of us.
finally,
No, that's fine.
that I
Alright,
am not the establishment party candidate. I've got respect,
Alright.
but I'm
No,
not that
it's too
person.
far
I am the
out.
one that doesn't have a political machine that doesn't come from money. And I don't make all the promises that everyone up here makes, but I can promise you this. I am going to
I need to get
govern
that thing
with
oiled.
integrity. I'm going to have
It's got
your
some
back,
use in it
and
now.
I'm going to govern for you. Thank you, Senator.
It's probably pretty much over, but you know, we're in practice of this. We're gonna do more of this, depending on the feedback we get from you guys.
My family moved into the town I grew up in because after being denied
Alright,
health because of the
perfect.
color of their skin, it was activists, mostly white activists, that stood up and fought for them. That's the best of who we are as Americans. Why, when I got out of law school, I moved into the inner city of Newark to fight as a tenant lawyer for other
Man, it
people's
looks
rights.
so redneck right
I've
now.
taken on bullies and beat them. I've taken on tough fights and we won. And we win those fights.
This is
not by
crap.
showing the worst of who we are, but rising to who's
It's
best.
good crap though.
Donald Trump wants us to fight him on his turf and his terms. We will beat him.
Hey, it's this guy. We got to drink because they let him talk, remember?
Yes.
Purpose again.
Here's your beer.
This is a referendum on him and getting rid of him, but it's also a referendum on us, who we are and who we must be to each other. It's
I just
time
can't
we
wait for the
win
next
this
debate.
election. And the way I'll govern is by showing the best of who we are.
Sorry for the shaky
because that's
video,
what
the
this
late
country
start.
needs and deserves. Thank you.
Congressman O'Rourke?
This is all experimental. We want to do some debates like this, something like this.
Turned 11.
I do. Like when we do debates.
I'm on this stage
I'm thinking
for
about
her.
it, but I want to see what
I'm
we
just
can
thinking, like,
seconds I got this.
Including
We're-
some
we're
the
all-
same age who've been
We
separated
have our
from their
debate
parents
going on like
and are
this, where
sleeping
we're all
on
standing at our own
concrete floors
podiums,
under
but it's
aluminum
also a
blankets
drinking
tonight.
game.
It's also
Like your podium is like a fucking mini fridge with alcohol.
We
The
can't
political
return to the
drinking
same
game.
old
This
approach.
could get expensive.
We're gonna need a new kind of politics.
And like I
One
said, I never
elected by
bothered to
urgency
remonetize
of the
my
next
channel, so
generation.
even if it gets good
Those
views,
climate activists who are
doesn't
fighting
matter.
not just for
I'm
their
not going to make
future,
any money on
but
it.
for everyone's.
I'll
Those
probably just be doing
students
it
marching
for
not just for
fun.
their lives,
Really?
but
You're not
for
making
all of
money
us.
anymore?
We'll need a movement like the one that we led in Texas.
I'd
It
suggest
renewed
you
our
fix it.
democracy by bringing everyone in and
If I did that, they're just going to go
That's
after
how
me.
we beat
But
Donald
then
Trump. That's how
nobody's
we
gonna
bring
go
this
after
great
you.
country together again. Join us. This is our moment, and the
go
generations
after
that
me.
follow are
I
counting
don't
on
know.
us to meet it. Thank you, Congressman.
YouTube, I don't know. It's I'm not going to bother.
45 seconds for the final.
They'll just
final
demonetize
statement.
all my stuff.
Thank
They'll
you.
just make my channel
It's a great honor
demonetized.
to be here.
If I monetize
Never
my
in a
channel, they'll
million years
demonetize
did
it.
I think
That's what's
I would
going to
stand on
happen.
a
I'm
stage
not
What does
like this.
monetizing even
I was
mean?
born and raised in
You can make money.
Oklahoma. I have 3 older
There's
brothers.
ads.
They all joined the
You
military.
get part of the money that the
I had
ad
a dream
companies
growing up, and my
give
dream was to be a
to
public school
YouTube
teacher.
to air their
By
ads.
the time I graduated from high school, my family,
You know,
my family didn't
If
have
you
the money
allow
for a college
ads on your
application,
videos,
much less
I
a
used to
chance
not
for
allow
me to go to
ads.
college.
I thought ads were
But
dumb. Then I
got
found
my
out that's the
chance.
only way to
It was a
get money.
$50 a semester commuter college.
It's true.
That was a little slice
People
of
put their
government that created
product
some
and
opportunity
name
for a
on your
girl.
shit, and then
And it
people see it
opened
and
my
like, oh yeah, I
life.
want it. And
I am
then you
in
give
this
money for
fight
it.
because I believe that we can make
Yeah, hearing
our
it like
government,
that
we
really
can
sounds
make
like,
our economy,
like
we can make our
they're just
country
really going.
work, not
They're just
for
using it
them
as a
to talk.
punishment
We can make it
to
work for
stop
everyone, and I
people like us
promise you
from
this, I will fight for you as
That's
hard as I
fucking
fight for
retarded.
my own family.
I would like to thank all of the
Well, it's their world, it's their
Tonight, and that will
fucking
do
service.
it for night one
They're
of this
Julius
two-night event.
Caesar.
And guess what? We've
You
got
can do
10
whatever
more
they want
candidates
with
tomorrow night.
YouTube.
So there's another debate tomorrow night.
Now, that concludes our coverage of this first Democratic debate from Miami. For Savannah, Jose, Chuck, and Rachel, I'm Lester Holmes.
Yeah, that's it.
Good night, everyone.
It's over.
It's over? Alright, finish the
It's, but there's another one tomorrow night.
That was an unwritten rule.
How are we gonna do this again tomorrow night? Unwritten rule, when it ends, we got too fucked up to continue the game.
I wasn't even paying attention to most of that shit.
I mean, by the end, I was just so out of it.
Yeah.
Was, still am.
I'm like, shit, do they even talk about Trump anymore? Us turning around
When they
is
started
probably what stopped us from drinking.
Right here on NBC News Now. We just wrapped up night one of the first Democratic
If we
debate.
didn't turn around, we'd probably be more fucked up.
The top four
Well, if you're still with us,
tonight were in the top
not,
5 for the most
you are.
airtime. That's
Later.
Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker,
Thanks for
Beto
hanging
O'Rourke,
out
and
for
Amy
the after
Klobuchar.
party.
Also in the
We're
top
gonna at
5
least finish
was
our
Leon
beers
Castro.
and
not
some of this
surprisingly,
weed.
it was a night that was all about the issues. We heard from the
All
candidates
about
on things
the
like
issues. That's what we're
immigration,
gonna listen
free
to.
college,
The
healthcare,
after party.
the Iran deal, abortion,
blah.
gun violence, the
All
Supreme
right.
Court, climate change,
Let's
police
switch it up to the
violence,
Rick and Morty
and of
drinking
course
game.
LGBTQ rights. So to break down what we
I don't
saw
think
this
I'm gonna
evening,
live stream
we're bringing
that,
our
'cause that's
panel
not
back in. We have
what my
Republican
fans are
political
into.
consultant Shermichael
Come on, it'll be
Singleton, political
funny.
reporter Alex Thompson, and MSNBC
You walk into a political
analyst
debate and they
Ferdinand
see Rick
Maxwell.
and
They're
Morty.
here with us to talk about the highlights.
Comment on this.
Alex,
We're gonna do
did
Rick and Morty.
anyone
Switch it.
surprise you tonight?
I think Secretary Castro
They're talking about
clearly
the
had the most
debate.
surprising night. Both his ability
Here, let's
to
listen.
really have his finger on the pulse on certain
Link
policy
that up
issues,
to
but I
that.
think he really caught Beto
Who's he?
O'Rourke off guard
Some
by
guy
kind of hitting him from the
studied at
left
liberal
on this.
college. He's worse
Okay,
now.
whatever. I guess we're done with the politics. Sorry, guys.
Hold on.
How long did this go?
I got this.
Holy crap, we're on 83 minutes.
83 minutes and still going.
83 minutes is still going. Okay, let's do more.
Alright, you remember the rules, right? Burps, portal gun,
Burps, portal gun,
stutters.
calls Morty an idiot name.
Yeah,
Damn it. Sorry, but we cannot display this. Good job. I don't know what you did. They can barely see it though. I mean, we're gonna be displaying Rick and Morty shit, and they're not even gonna be able to see it. But let's try this. Experimenting. I wonder whatever happened to that one guy. They used to. Never mind.
Hurry up, Morty. Grandpa's about to unfreeze time.
Yeah, look, it looks like nothing.
I know how to vacuum, Mom and Dad, Summer. I've been doing it for 6 months. Then you've been doing it wrong for 6
Yeah,
months.
dude. Come on.
God, is that mildew? It's not my fault we froze time on a humid
What is
day.
that?
You have dropped so many balls, man. Do you ever get scared Grandpa Rick might make me his new sidekick? What? What kind of monster are you? A competent
Oh, that works. That's better.
thing you guys are talking about.
Hey, burp, you burp. Let's do this. It's zoomed in a lot, but it's the only way we're gonna be able to see this.
Alright, listen, you two. We froze time for a pretty long time, so when I unfreeze it, the world's time is gonna be fine, but our
yeah,
time
also,
is gonna
whenever
be
he
time
burps, we take a sip.
Yeah, we already mentioned that like 3 times.
It means relax and stop being a pussy, Morty. I thought you learned that by now.
How about instead of idiot, whenever Rick calls Morty a name?
Yeah, any kind of name. Yeah, any kind of stupefying name. Alright. It's gonna be adjusting big time, honestly, but whatever. Here we go. For the after show.
Negative visualization, Jerry. Explains a lot about where you're at. Hi, sweetie.
Hi, Dad. Summer, Morty, are you okay?
We just missed you a lot.
Yeah, we missed you so much. Too much to hug you, though.
Yeah, it would literally destroy them. Now listen,
It would literally
why
destroy
don't you
them.
guys go get a free Sunday ice cream? Get out there and get some ice cream. Here's $500 cash and unmarked.
Look at Luma, but don't. But look right back to the TV. Hey.
This better not be a bribe.
Look at what I'm doing with my eyes. If Luma do this, like if she makes eye contact with you, look at her and then look away. Like you're distracted by something else, and then she'll get jealous at whatever you're distracted by.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you have to do it when she's like wanting your attention.
Man, that guy is the red grin grumble to pretending he knows what's going on.
Dogs do that. Dogs do that.
You like that red grin grumble reference? Well, guess what? I made him up. You really are your father's children. Think for yourselves. Don't be sheep.
We're drinking and watching Rick and Morty.
This is why you don't freeze time, you guys. It's incredibly irresponsible. And you did it so we could clean the house after a party? Look, there's no time to hold me accountable, Morty. Like, literally no time. Look around. Uncertainty is inherently unsustainable. Eventually, everything either is or isn't. We've got about 4 hours to be is or isn't. Alright, since this time
Remember, if there's an alien on screen, we have to drink. To drink, there's an alien on screen.
Not gonna be any aliens in this episode, I know.
Except for that testicle monster.
Away we go. Oh, you know, it's working. What the hell is wrong with you two? I mean, you four.
That hurts. It was painful.
Good, I'm glad it was painful. You deserve
He
it.
stuttered. We have to drink.
You're both all over the
Bird.
damn place. We've been split for 20
Two
minutes.
drinks.
Your lives are already scattered to the quantum wind. What the hell do either of you
Two
have
drinks,
to be so
nigga.
uncertain about? Your brand of sit cream? Which chair to sit in while I do everything? Come on, spit it out.
Well, you don't exactly make it easy, Rick. You always pick on me, and now you got someone to kiss your ass. Me? What about just you? Could you get more excited to see me fail? Because you got all to yourself.
All right, cool it. I see what's happening here. You're both young, you're both unsure about your place in the universe, and you both want to be Grandpa's favorites. I can fix this. Morty, sit here. Summer, you sit here. Now listen, I know the two of you are very different from each other in a lot of ways, but you have to understand that as far as Grandpa's concerned, you're both pieces of shit. Yeah, I can prove it mathematically. Actually, let me grab my whiteboard. This has been a long time
Stutter.
coming
We
anyway.
had drink.
Emergency. Wounded deer coming in.
I get watching
I need another beer.
Excuse me, you can't be back here. I'm a certified horse surgeon, and this deer needs medical attention. Nurse, please move that snake.
That's my nurse. And as a horse surgeon, I'm sure that you know that deer have much smaller, much more intricate organs.
As a vet, I'm sure you know that a deer is closer to a horse than you are to a doctor. So let's save the measuring for when our dicks are out. It's time to save a life.
Jeez.
That's odd. This deer's wounded.
Yeah, I was there. You don't have to rub it in.
I mean, it's been shot with a gun.
My gun.
May I help you, sir?
No, but you can stop helping this deer. I shot it before these two hit it with their car. I followed them when they hauled it off. This deer belongs to me.
We don't have time for this, okay? I need anesthetic and deer saline.
Look, I don't know what the law
Deer
says.
saline is just saline.
No animal can be sterilizing the border.
Saline is just salt water.
I'm calling my
So saying deer saline is like saying people water.
In your dreams, bitch. Scalpel.
So in conclusion, you're both equally mercurial, overly sensitive.
I mean, if I'm just gonna, if this is on, to be honest, I'm just gonna be into this, and I'm not gonna talk, I'm not gonna entertain them, and we're just doing copyright, really.
Well, it looks like I'm the entertainer at this point.
Alright.
Welcome to the Alex Gold Show. We watch some good old cartoons.
Be like Grandpa.
You ain't drunk.
What's that? You got something to say? Hey, we go. Hey, we go. Huh, that's weird. That's weird. Oh my god. Oh my god. The son of a bitch is gonna kill me. The son of a bitch is gonna kill me. What? Oh, I'm feeling sociopath. Don't you get it? Don't you get it? The other Rick isn't trying to murk us anymore. He thinks he can save his own skin by using the crystal to kill me. He probably figures it's easier to eliminate one of the possibilities rather than
Burp.
them. I have to admit, it's always in the back of my mind too. The difference is I would never do it. Till now. Rick, what the hell are you doing? We're saving our lives. After he takes me out, he's gonna be
If we go back before the conversation or what he was saying was in sync, but he cut out half of his sentence. That's why they got in sync. Or not half, but like a portion of it.
Oh God! Now there's 3 of them. We're outnumbered. Get in the cupboards. Wait, don't do that. They'll know. Wait, think about getting in the cupboards, but don't really. This is what you want, you sick. You want to see children die?
You son of a bitch. You don't stop living until I say so.
Michael?
Who's this now?
My lawyer. I'm here to notify you, ma'am, that in this county, any deer shot by a hunter is that hunter's property, regardless of how far it runs or who intercepts it before it dies. It's called Brad's Law. We can't make you stop the surgery, but at this point, you're performing it on venison. Actually, I've decided not to eat it. All this fear and conflict. I'm sure it's ruined the meat. I'm just going to use the head for my rec room wall.
She normally works on horses.
Jerry, if you're not gonna help, get the fuck out of here. I will reach into heaven and take your screaming dear soul back. Jesus.
I know where you are, you creepy old monster. I know how you think. Oh, is this where you think I'm going? Think I'm standing here? You're right.
Now what?
Well, all of me knocked out all the Ricks, and you peed in all of your pants. Doesn't that mean that we're all synchronized?
Right.
Okay, so from now on, whatever we do, we have to be certain.
Right.
I think I'm certain we're effed in the A.
Briefly look at Luma, but look at the TV. Look at the TV. Look at the TV. TV.
Well,
TV.
you and a dog crazy. You're acting crazy. You caused another time fracture.
Give her a wince.
Kill yourself.
A little inch of looking at her.
Kill me first. Guys,
Watch.
I don't expect you to
Look at her
understand
for like half a
time
second.
breaking twice
Give her eye
because our problem
contact.
is 2 times bigger and we've got half as
Dude,
much
do
time
right
to
now.
solve
She's
it.
giving up on you.
Actually, I do
Now look at
expect
the
you
TV.
to understand that it's basic math. Can somebody just let me out of
See?
here? If I die in a cage, I lose the bet.
Do it again.
Is there some way you can prove you're
Fucking
not good
TV.
to yourself and others anymore?
Here, give me the time.
Look at her for like a good second.
I'm gonna end this. This is dumb. Alright, good night, guys. Ya Estados Unidos se grande otra vez.
Adios, motherfucker.